achievement, amassing fiat currency. And not just amassing fiat currency, but then dispersing that currency, spending that currency on the same damn thing that every other rich parasite spends it on. So I'm finding that also, black folks are talking about the material prerequisites for intimacy, the material prerequisites for marriage, and the material prerequisites for reproduction. You got to have a certain type of credit score, have a certain amount of money, and black people really think this is being responsible. By totally adopting European white standards, mainstream status quo standards for our intimate relationships and for our pair bonding, and using the yardstick that the white man gives us, the economic and social yardstick that the white man provides for us, and trying to find other black people who measure up to this standard. And why? Why does your man need to have a 785 credit score? Does that help subvert the systems and institutions of white domination? Will that even better protect you from the ravages of racism? Not only did Serena Williams have $100 million in her bank account, at least, she had a white man on her arm. And she still almost died from basic medical neglect, the same way as every other hood black woman suffers from the same medical neglect, racism, and disrespect. You know, Beyonce's so scared to have a baby in America, she's putting Jay-Z's sperm in her ovaries in surrogates and sending them to the Caribbean to give birth. All kind of weird stuff. Because of the racism. There's a book called Medical Apartheid. There's another book called Acres of Skin. There's so many books written on the Tuskegee experiment, even though you have all this high-tech medical equipment, all these wonderful medical advances that I'm in awe of. I remember when I first became an x-ray tech, we used to have to walk in the dark room with the red light and dump the films in the fixer and all these smelly ass processing chemical. Ain't no more dark rooms than x-ray rooms. It's all digital. Amazing. But one thing that has not been updated is the bias and racism of the medical industry. And I'm saying it is an institution and an industry. So even if you got a black doctor, even if you got a black nurse, black sonographer, black radiographer, you're still more likely than a white person to get subhuman, substandard treatment, because those black folks came through the same institution as the white folks. And even when I was working in Rikers Island, when I was working at Truman Medical Center, and I consciously tried to give proper service to African people, I could not do it because the mistreatment and dehumanization of African people is embedded in the operations and policies of the institution. And if you treat black people humanely, you will be downgraded at every opportunity and eventually fired because you cannot follow hospital procedure, policy, and culture and give black people proper treatment at the same damn time. Because at the core of hospital treatment is that you must treat everyone equal. So, but when people are not equal out in the greater society, when they come into the institution and you treat them equally within the institution, you are perpetuating inequality. You are perpetuating injustice. So you do have to have separate rules, separate procedures, and separate oversight for black people than white people. You even have to have separate rules, separate procedures, separate for gay people than other people. You got to have separate rules, separate procedures, and separate oversight between poor people and rich people. But if you say a rich man, a straight man, a black man, a white man, any man that comes in here will get the exact same treatment. You are perpetuating. When you treat unequals equally, you are perpetuating oppression. So even if you get this money, it's funny, ain't no way you can take this from me. If you secure the bag and your swag matches her swag and y'all got Bentley coupes, you just like Dr. Dre, the billionaire Dr. Dre, can get laid out on the hood of your Bentley as easily as I can get laid out on the hood of my early model Ford that's breaking down every chance it gets. We both laid out on the hood and we both can get clipped in the same way. So what's all this securing the bag about? A lot of you have consciously said, listen, I'm not going to fight oppression, but what I'm going to do is enjoy oppression. I'm going to enjoy all of the material opportunities and material spoils that this system can provide for me while it allows me to have them. I will enjoy all that the system will allow me to enjoy, and I will not seek or demand or try to secure anything outside of the boundaries that the system will give to me. And you can live a good life. Before my son's gerbil died, it was a very happy gerbil. It was in an unnatural habitat. It only ate when he allowed it to eat. It drank when he allowed it to drink, and only got to roam around under the parameters that my son set for him. As far as I know, was the gerbil happy? I don't know. But the gerbil was not free. And someone might argue that the gerbil's better off living in the mountains, living in a burrow, and living in its natural habitat where it has to face predators and maybe, hardship. Instead of having its food put in a little container for it, it might have to go out and forage for food, but it's more of a life. Some of y'all are very happy in what is called a gilded cage. A gilded cage is a cage that has gold bars and ornate decorations, and the lock on the cage has rubies and diamonds embedded in the cage. Some of you are content with that. And I'm not even going to fight with you and tell you to be discontent with that. But what I hate about you who are content with living in the gilded cage is that y'all lie and say that this is freedom. Y'all say that the money and the material things that you possess are evidence of your freedom and power. And then y'all turn around and claim to be interested in helping all the rest of us black folks get into the gilded cage. And if every black person tomorrow became a billionaire, every single black citizen on the face of this earth became a billionaire, if every single black person in the world got the pad, as E-Rock said, if everybody in the hood got a PhD, say that Dr. Flip that burger hella good for me, even if it became, and we enjoyed all the material sports, a Bugatti in every black garage, red bottoms on every black woman's foots, a Gucci belt to hold up every black man's jeans or slacks, we would still have to engage in unrelenting revolution, because all that material wealth only obfuscates the fact that the life-sustaining capacity of the earth is being destroyed. You are still breathing in contaminated air. Your wife still has dioxin in her breast tissue and her breast milk. That still would not change the fundamental power dynamic, because we're still not producing the shoes and the red bottoms or the Bugattis. We still are having the materials to make those diamond encrusted iPhones. The coltan is still being extracted. And somebody got to go get that coltan. And it ain't going to be the white folks, so it's going to be black folks. So they're going to drag you out of your mansion. They're going to drag you out of your Bugatti and still make your ass get in that. Somebody got to be the nigga. And I hate to be this vulgar. But under capitalism, you have to have somebody got to be the slave. You can be a slave in shackles, or you can be a slave in a sweatshop. You can be a slave in a cubicle with a computer and a nice little house plan and a picture of your son and his graduation on your desk. You're still a slave. Somebody got a slave. Somebody's got to work and produce more wealth than they can take home in order for profits to be created. Somebody's got to get exploited. And when you say, I want to secure the bag and elevate in the system, you're saying, I want to be a servant of the exploiter, or I want to be an exploiter as well. And then we turn around and celebrate and worship these people. And the worst part of it all is we've allowed this sick mentality to infiltrate and penetrate our intimate personal relationship. Black people used to make songs like Love Don't Cost a Thing. There was a wonderful song called Cigarettes and Coffee by Otis Redding. Try a little tenderness. Well, our music, and it was like, yeah, it's bad out there. Black man, black woman, when you walk out into those streets, when you get on that bus and got to sit in the back of that bus, when you go to that school and they're not going to give you proper education, when you go to that grocery store and they're making you pay more money for lower quality food than the white man has to pay. When we go out into this world, it is ugly. This world only values us from what it can take from us. It only values us based on what we can produce. This world has no inherent intrinsic value of black people. It devalues and dehumanizes us. But when I get home, black woman, you at work all day, folding the white man's laundry, filing the white man's files, being treated in the worst possible way. But when you get home, it was every black person's obligation to build somebody up. When your woman comes home, have a seat, let me rub your feet, baby. How was it? Don't make me have to go down there and knock their heads in them peckerwoods. They better be doing right by you. We would talk to each other. We would show each other that we have inherent intrinsic value. Beyond the money the white man lets you earn or doesn't let you earn. Beyond the material things the white man lets you buy or not buy. Beyond the job the white man grants to you or denies you. Beyond all of that, you still got value. And we would tell the white black folks that got the $1 million, that got the big job, that got the big house. We would remind those black people, I don't care if you're traveling and performing in arenas, look, you still black. You better remember that. You better not forget where you came from, because even though white folks will be singing your praises today and swinging you from a tree tomorrow, we understood that. So we fought really hard not to allow the material and political reality to contaminate our intimate relationships. And we would talk about endless love, triumphant love. All that's gone. Now you a sucker, you a pick me, you a simp. If you don't put material needs and the material demands of the system above your intimate interpersonal needs, and I don't know how many more rich niggas we gotta watch lose their goddamn minds, go totally insane with billions of dollars in their bank account, and they are insane. And if they don't go crazy, their damn kids go crazy. How many times we got to watch this to say there is no refuge in fiat accumulation? In fact, there has been research to determine once you reach a certain level of income, more money does not make you more happy, more affluent, more healthy, or anything. So there is literally a maximum level of how high money can take you and how far money can take you. And any point beyond that, you start to enter into a hoarding psychosis. They call it affluenza. And black people have always been responsible. I've always been responsible. We all laugh about this, but we know. You walk in the refrigerator, it ain't nothing in there but a half-boiled egg and a half package of white bread. And you were like, ain't nothing to eat in this house. And your grandma, your auntie, your mama, your older sister come home from working all day and go in there with those little bit of ingredients and create a smorgasbord. That magic. We've always been responsible. And responsible means, do you take care of the people around you? Oh, then you're responsible. Now, in our community, responsible means, do you take care of yourself? Do you get yours? Do you make sure don't nobody get over on you? That's responsible now. And we think we're being smart. We think this is our own idea. When there are books written by people like B.F. Skinner that says, if we want to stop this civil rights movement, we have to fundamentally change the culture of black people. We have to change how they view the world. We have to change their concepts of value and worth. We have to dwarf their sense of worthiness and unworthiness. We have to corrupt their very sense of justice. And they did it. And now we think these are our ideas. We are under what is called somnambulistic possession. Amos Wilson, who was secular, who was an atheist, said that black people are possessed by a white demon. And I'm seeing black people bring this sickness to our intimate relationships. You sit here and talk about, oh, having all these kids, you ain't got no money. We ain't never had money. If any black person followed that whole, if you ain't got security, then you shouldn't have kids. Guess what? You ignorant fools saying that BS would not be here today, because we ain't never been secure in this country. It used to be the idea was, if you ain't got people, you ain't got family. The most valuable asset to any black person, I don't care if you were wealthy or poor, educated or uneducated, was your network. The worst thing you could do is turn your back. And people always want to know, who are your people? Now, when you meet somebody, even when I was coming up, I'm old enough to remember when that was the initial question. Who your people is. Now the first question is where you work at. What school did you attend? What fraternity are you a member of? I remember I used to, and in Missouri, I used to come from good people. My people had issues, but people knew. The Bowies, the Jeffersons, the Bradleys, them's good people. And even if you had money, you had a nice car, And I ain't gonna try to out nobody, but there were some people that lived in East Hill Village that didn't come from good people. They had nice clothes, they had nice cars, they had bundles of money, but people kept their distance from them. And like, you can take your money and go enjoy yourself, but just keep your distance. I don't want my people, my daughter or my son, messing with your daughter or your son, because y'all not good people. And that helped us to endure slavery. That helped us to endure Jim Crow. In the worst of times, under the most inhumane conditions, black people not only endured, we thrived. And now our social cohesion is so weak, we can't even put up with 3 or 4 racist cops. Can disrupt the whole community. It used to be that the president, Woodrow Wilson, the senators, the mayors, the guy would come on the TV on the nightly news smoking a cigarette saying, yeah, some buck nigger was caught breaking into a meal and we're going to string that nigger up. And they say that on the radio. They say that in the media. And black people had to deal with that. But our internal networks were so powerful, white people were befuddled. Read Dr. John Henry Clark, where he talked about how black people endured conditions that led other races and led other nations to utter total extinction. And it wasn't that we were stronger than them, that we were tougher than them. It was only because our familial networks, our concept of family, are the multi-generational family, the multi-layered family. Our communal traditions, our networks of mutual support. Going next door to knock and say, can I borrow a cup of butter? Can I borrow a stick of butter? Can I borrow a cup of sugar? Y'all got some milk in there? And being able to do that without any shame was much better than us ghost riding the whip and Bugattis and stuff. That was more of a survival tactic, and we gave that up to secure the bag. And we made fun of each other. Oh, look at you, you broke. You broke too. You on Section 8. You on the food stamps. We all talk that kind of mess. But at the same time, I'm sitting there cracking on you, playing the dozens on you. If somebody from outside the group came in and messed with you, then I'm going to mess with them. I grew up in East Hills Village. I was not a member of the gang. I was not a gangster. But I knew, just by being a resident of that community, even if the dudes in my neighborhood was chasing me in the house, running me up in the house, and cracking jokes on me, anybody from outside that arena, they mess with me, they got a problem with everybody. It was instinctual. Nobody even taught me that. If I was out somewhere, if I was out at the mall, if I was downtown, if I was in a hostile neighborhood, and somebody from my neighborhood had a problem, and they saw that I was there, and they say, oh, you didn't step up. You saw Terrence, you saw Dion, you saw Pony Boy didn't jump, or they were trying to step the Pony Boy, and you didn't do nothing? And he from our neighborhood? I had to answer to the community for that. But now it's all, do you, player? Get yours. When we used to make songs about, hey, try a little tenderness, cigarettes and coffee, love don't cost a thing. And when people make songs like, you gotta have a J-O-B, if you don't want to be with me, that was a parody song. That was a joke, like, haha, yeah. And somebody come on and say, listen, I starved myself to start a business. I starved myself. I suffered to get through school. Oh, yes, queen. But if somebody says, listen, I had a man that went through some things. He had a psychological breakdown, and I wrote it out with him. Oh, you a pick me. You a simp. You a sellout. You can suffer for money. You can suffer to integrate into the white man's system, but don't you dare suffer for another black person. Don't you dare sacrifice for another black person. And people out here writing articles. But what I am observing as well, African people that adhere to African values, whether they got a lot of money or no money, are healthier and better able to endure. Black folks that truly value family above all else and understand that family is different than relatives. Black people who truly have true African family values and not Western capitalist values. The black people who can see the inherent intrinsic value of other black people and look at them beyond their degrees, their income, bank account, credit, FICO scores. Those black people are healthier, happier, and even more prosperous. So I'm not saying that they're not out there. I'm one of those people. And I've been good. The community takes care of me because I am a member and I am a valued member of my community. And whether I got abundance or I got deficits, my people look out for me because I look out for my people. And everywhere I go, I start to formulate and cultivate community. And no, this ain't no pie in the sky. This ain't about us being on vibing together. Or we on the same vibe. It ain't even us getting along. Sometimes we fall out and bicker. Sometimes we have issues. That's family. But we know, anybody got a problem, you got a problem with me. If you got a deficit and I got an asset, I'm going to fill that deficit. And when I know when my deficit come around and smack me in the face, you going to be there. Even if you mad at me. Even if we ain't talked in months because I didn't say something off, you believe Jesus is your Lord and Savior, and I didn't say something crossways about your Jesus. So you don't interact with me for 5 or 6 months, and you hear that I got an issue, my son got an issue. Like, what's going on? What you need? Let me give you what you need. Let me help you out so I can go back to not talking to you again. That's how we do. And that is more valuable than anything that the white man can manufacture and sell to us and market to us. That's more valuable than a deal with the NFL. Because when it's all said and done, the way we leave this world is the same way we entered it, butt naked with nothing. And the only thing we leave behind, you can leave behind all the money you want. Every day they change the currency. What's $100 last year? What $100 could buy last year? It can't buy this year. So even if you get $1 million, but those familial bonds are impervious. We could be on the verge of Armageddon or on the verge of liberation. And those family bonds, that ideological understanding is what will get us through prosperity or suffering. So what I'm telling you, your first consideration as to whether or not you're going to be intimate with somebody, whether or not you're going to sustain any type of bond, sexual, personal, social bonds with anybody should not be, do they have a bag or not? Can their swag match my swag? Say, is this person humane? Do they understand value, worth, and cost? Do they put the value of our people over the cost of living? Even if you want to start a business. I got relatives that are all about that paper. And the relatives that are most successful about getting that paper that they all about is before the paper, they formed real bonds with real people. And they value those bonds, they cultivate those bonds, they protect those bonds, they nurture those bonds, and they don't put those material value on those bonds. So when you're gonna hustle, when you are an entrepreneur, you're gonna have your up and down. You're gonna have your good weeks and bad weeks, your good terms and your profitable terms and your losses and gains. But if you got somebody you can go home and rest your head on, if you got somebody you can pick up a phone and call uncle, cousin, daddy, mama, good friend, my brother, my sister, and they can hear you weep, wail, and moan, hear you bang on us, hear you kick stuff, hear you threaten to kill everybody. And they like, I feel you, dog. If you're gonna roll, I'm gonna roll with you. If you're going down, I'm going down with you. But, you know, that's more valuable. But now y'all think y'all can go out and pay therapists for that. Y'all can go get a prescription for Ritalin or Paxil. They got monetary compensation. Let me tell y'all something. African people, black love is not revolutionary. That's another thing. That's another method of commodifying love, turning it into an unobtainable possession. Black love is not revolutionary because revolution is not natural. Revolution is not easy. Revolution is bloody. Revolution is violent. Revolution is something you have to struggle for. Black love is the opposite of all those things. So you can say black love is natural. Black love is inherent. Black love is necessary. Stop saying black love is revolutionary. I love revolutionary and I want revolution, but I don't have to work for love. I don't have to earn love. I don't have to do anything to make myself worthy of love. Just my existence makes me worthy of love. But one thing, love is not something you should have to work for or earn, but it does give you obligations. Love for my wife, love for my family, love for my people obligates me to diminish the harm and increase the benefits for them. To liberate them, to destroy all those who seek to oppress or exploit them. African people, stop sharing these memes about, oh, if she ain't got no degree, she ain't got no money, don't date her. Stop giving your sperm. Black women, stop talking this nonsense about credit score. You'll be sitting up in a mansion abused, neglected. You'll be sitting up in a mansion on your 15th butt augmentation surgery because you've got no fulfillment in your life. And all you can need to do is figure out more exotic and absurd ways to spend your money. You're better off sitting in a modest abode with a real community around you. Bro Diallo, Q4 Radio, AM 1680, iTunes Radio, all of that. Contribute if you can. Black love is not revolutionary. Black love is necessary. Black love is inherent and natural. When we start making black love revolutionary or start putting material limitations or material terms on love, it's no longer love. It's a commodity to be bought, sold, and traded. Anytime you put a price tag on something, you devalue it. I don't care if the price tag is $1 billion. Anytime you put a price tag on anything, you devalue it. You don't believe me? Then how much you want to charge me for your child? How much would you pay me to take your child away from you? How much your dignity cost? And even if you say, well, my dignity is $1 trillion, the moment it gets a price tag, it's still devalued. Some things are above the market or outside and separate from the market. And I'm not saying don't engage in the market. I'm not saying don't try to improve your material conditions. I'm not saying don't get even some of the finer things. I don't care if you're into the finer things, then enjoy the finer things. I like going to Ethiopian Diamond to sit across from my wife and have a nice vegan Ethiopian meal. To me, that's one of the finer things. I don't even feel guilty when we do it. But what is the substance underlying that? What is the ideology that undercuts that? That happiness is a byproduct of our bond, not the source of it. The material things are a byproduct of our cooperation and unity, not the source of it. But let me get out. I went over time yesterday. Sorry, Q4 Radio staff. Sorry, John. You know, I'm gonna start trying to adhere to the rules of the game. But anyway, this is Q4 Radio, Pan African Radio. I will be back Friday. I'm going to talk about reactionary violence versus revolutionary violence because we get confused about that. So that'll be tomorrow's Friday show, unless something else comes. Unless I go find out on my blog or on social media somewhere that y'all talking crazy about me again. Now I have to come in here and spend the 2 hours defending myself as opposed to really talking about